Did you get any insight into some potential defences here? Because he obviously, the correct answer is to say, look, this stuff's garbage, but we'll have more to say inside the court. Did you get any insight into what you think his defences are going to be?
He tried to say that the Presidential Records Act completely covers him, and that's just not the case. The Presidential Records Act doesn't let you do whatever you want to do with intelligence documents. It just doesn't. And that's why I said, are you saying that the CIA could give you a classified briefing and you could do whatever you wanted with it? And he stopped. I mean, he wouldn't go that far because he knows that that would be an absurd thing to say. So this is the problem for Trump. Paul, he's in danger. He didn't handle the documents well. That's not to excuse this prosecution because they didn't go after Hillary and they shouldn't be doing it to Trump. But he does have some answers to give on these very tricky issues. And so far, they're not there.
Now, obviously, there's the off-the-record bit, there's the on-the-record bit, but I have to ask from sort of one person who knows how to do it in front of a camera to another. What was you like before and after? Did he give you a lot of pre-chat? Did he make you sit there and just turned up and didn't say anything till the camera rolls? Did you go for a walk around the property afterwards? What was he like before and after?
We braided each other's hair, and yeah, I
you
worked
know what I'm asking.
Yeah, no, it was professional and it was polite. I wouldn't say it was genuinely warm. You know, I think Trump is still mad about that debate question in his heart. Like he wants to point out how well he did in answering it, and I agree that he did well. The base loved his answer. It drove his poll numbers up, but he felt wounded by it or angry about it. And still does. He can't let it go. And so, you know, he raised it. It was the first thing he raised when he saw me in July. It was the first thing he raised when I saw him yesterday. It was the last thing he raised before we said goodbye. Like he raised it in the interview. There was a lot of focus on that debate question. It's been 8 years. He's won the presidency since then. He's served as president. It's time to move past it, but he does hold a grudge.
But also, he's given you an interview after the question. He's clearly okay to sit down with you now because of the enormous size of your audience. He obviously respects you enough to be able to say, hey, come down and I know you're going to be fair. And let's be honest, the answer to the question was such a TV perfect zinger that I think that's the moment he clinched the nomination. Why keep
Can
going
I ask
on
you,
about
Paul,
it?
like, is there a more viral moment in debate history than that moment? There isn't. He did handle it well. Like, people were so interested in the question. No one ever asked me, like, do you think he did well in response to it? I do think he did well in response to it. And I'm fine with that. My goal was not to kill Trump on that stage. It was to ask him A+ level questions. But look, I will say this about Trump. He had the stones to come on with me. He knew I wasn't going to go softball on him. He knew I was going to ask him hard questions. And he still sat with me, and not just sat with me. Originally, he agreed to 45 minutes. He let it go for an hour and 20. Like he could have easily, his team was like, okay, wrap. And he was like, no, we're good. And so contrast that with President Biden, you know, President Basement, who still won't talk to anybody. And not that there's a reporter out there who's willing to ask him tough questions, Paul, but the press lets him get away with his complete camouflage routine where we never get to see the real him because nobody ever puts tough questions to him. Trump is out there talking about his criminal indictments, for the love of God. There's nothing that's off limits. So I give him immense credit for that. And, you know, you asked me about the dynamic between the two of us. I mentioned to you that I wouldn't say necessarily tense, but not, you know, just not the way you and I would greet each other. But that also is to his credit. So this is not somebody who feels entirely warm and fuzzy about me, but he still said yes. This weekend, he's going on Meet the Press. They hate his guts. I give him credit for it. So he doesn't want to do the debate with these other guys who he's 50 points ahead of. That makes some sense to me. But he will sit down with media, in the case of NBC, that he knows hates him. In the case of me, that he knows doesn't hate him, but that will ask him tough questions. And that's his obligation to the American people. I do give him credit for it.